I want to know, what is a non-negotiable for you, for someone who walks into your life as a 30 something and is acting like she wants to be your friend? Hey, I'm Dejanique.
And I'm Elena, and this is Everything Eventually. Friendships as adults is like dating. It's like you have to, not put a person on trial, but you do have to really make sure that the people that you're letting in your life, especially as you are going into your 30s, really match where you're at. And I think it's very different from when you meet people, whether it's in elementary, middle school, and you grow with them. I feel like you're just in a much different place in your 30s making new friends versus earlier in life. And that's me and Days, actually. We met 3 years ago. On our first episode, we kind of talked through how we met, with her lovely husband reaching out to me on LinkedIn looking for marketing support for his lovely girlfriend and her business. And from there, honestly, like, we've built an amazing friendship. And now we're here also doing a podcast. So it's like, couldn't have asked for a better meeting 3 years ago. And here we are. But I will say, I think a lot of times when you're meeting people in your 30s, it really is like, do they fit in with my life?
Yeah.
Like, is it a mom group? Is it from your kids, from school? Is it from sports? Like, Dej, like, how are you meeting potential new friends at this point in your life?
Girl, it feels like a full-time job. So I think that you talked about meeting friends in elementary school and college and, from your neighborhood. And those people grow with you, and as you mature, you give them a lot of grace, right? Like,
Yes.
you know their background. And so there are things that they will do that you may not like, or they're, things that you're like, that's not my cup of tea, but you give them grace because you're like, that's my girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
But being a 30 something, when you meet new women, you're like, nah,
Ain't got time
we
for
are
that.
not extending that type of grace to new women who like walk through the front door. And so I think you have to actively go out and seek people who are in spaces and do things and have interests that are conducive to your newly built life.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I first moved to Houston, I was going to these like women's brunches. Death to the
Mm-hmm.
women's brunch these days, right? That is like literally so taboo now, but everybody had a women's brunch, and I was going
True.
to these brunches, and I was going to all of these events that I thought would put me in the room with like-minded women, and it just felt like a lot of girls just wanted to look cute and collect your $50, and you drank these watered down mimosas, and there was
Mm-mm.
no real networking going on. And so woman stuck with me from this event, and it was because
Okay.
she had the audacity to come up to me and be like, your outfit is cute, girl. And I was like, why, thank you. And literally from her coming and complimenting me and extending an olive branch, she and I developed this blossoming relationship. And it showed me that I'm just not brave in that way to step out of my comfort zone and go and meet new women and make friends. And I would have lost out on a really cool connection had she not been the one to come up to me. And so I definitely think that I could use a little assistance in the making friends category as a 30 plus. And now as a mom, it's like, do you want to get stuck in that like mom box and only have mom friends?
I will say that as the mom
Yeah.
of the 2 6 and 8-year-old boys who are into the sports and the activities, I have been pleasantly surprised. Creed started football last fall, and the people that we are in on the football team with, the other parents, have turned out to be amazing. Like,
What?
I am like mind blown every time, like, we are with each other or in the same places. Like, everybody's just so nice. Like, everybody has all the same type of, not the same goals in life, but like, we're all there like for the same reason. We
Yeah.
want to be supportive for our kids, and everybody has a good attitude. Like, we don't have the people in the group that are like, oh my gosh, here she goes again, or like, I wonder what story she's gonna have today, or like, oh my gosh, they're late yet again, like, like
Mm-hmm.
all the things. Like, we don't have that, and I was very surprised. And the people that we are in this group with, I actually want to hang out with. Like, we get together and hang out for like kids' birthdays, or we'll all go to dinner together. There's like 17 of us. And so it's literally
Whoa.
the craziest thing. I was not expecting it. And now that we're about to start season 2 with the same group, because they were 7-year-olds and now they're 8-year-olds, and they're all going to play again together, there are a few new people that I literally in the group text was like, are we allowing them? Have the parents had tryouts? Do we know who they are? Like, where do they work? What does their Instagram look like? Are they going to fit in? And I, of
So
course, was like, we have to vet these people. Like, we can't bring in new people and let them kill our vibe. Like, it's too good.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm side eyeing. I'm a little skeptical because I feel like when you make friends with these mom groups, all you talk about is the children. And so it sounds like you have struck gold by finding a group of ladies who not only want to talk about the children, but they
Yeah.
have other
They have
hobbies and
other things
things
going
that
on. They
you guys have
work.
in common.
Yes. So that's like one group.
Yeah.
The other group that I have is our neighbor group. We met during, well, we met before COVID, but like we all got really close during COVID
Hmm.
when we couldn't trust even our families. We were like, where have you been?
Yeah.
What have you been doing? Have you been in public spaces? And like, we only had each other. And we would sit outside with our kids and they would run around the street, up and down the street to other people's houses, and we could trust each other. So, like, I have developed this friend group with our neighbors. And so there are other set of friends that we've been very surprised at, like the fact that there's 8 families that actually get along.
So I think that having those built-in groups is super helpful. As a new mom, I think that I'm probably looking at this more so from the outside looking in because my baby isn't in sports and things like that yet.
Oh, just
And I think I'm
wait.
still in this space of trying to like claw and hold on to my identity outside of being Roman's
Yes.
mother and Jimmy's wife. And so
Yes.
making new friends and being around other women who, want to pour into you in different ways is super important to me right now. But I think as he grows and develops, and I realize like, it's easier and it makes sense because these people are at the same level, are experiencing the same space in life that you're in. You do have a lot more to relate to them with. So I don't want to sound like, a Debbie Downer when I say I just don't want to hang with the mom groups, but I do find myself like being overly conscious of not wanting to make my like third space connected to my kid. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that that's wrong, though.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like, there is work, there is home, so whether wife or mom, and then there is like, I've always been like, and there's Elena, a
Yeah.
human who has interest in things that have nothing to do with these other 3 people who I have either birthed or the oldest one who I've attached myself to for the rest of my natural life. Like,
Hmm.
love them, but they don't make me. And I
Yeah.
think it really is important to, like, if you have a great mom group, lovely. Like, find ways to like bring your personal interest, or whether it's your career, bring that into this other potential friend group. And I will say
Yeah.
that like I am not the best at that. I have the mom group thing, like, check, like that part of the list is checked off, but my personal like career network piece, especially in Charlotte, could use some love. Like, I will be
Hmm.
100% honest with that. I will also say that really sounds bad since I'm an AKA.
Me too. Right. I was literally thinking that as you were talking. First of all, sorors don't judge.
Sorors
But
don't
I'm like,
judge.
my husband says this all the time. He's like, why? I mean, it's so many of y'all. Why don't you go to a chapter meeting? Why don't you do whatever? And it's like, a lot of times when you're in the thick of building your family and building your career, it's easier to be general. It's easier
Very
to not
much
have to make the
so.
commitment to go to the meetings, but that is the network and that is what it's built for. And
I
so I think
know.
in the midst of this episode, we need to hold one another accountable and say that we are going to at least try
I
and
will
find a
say that
chapter to visit.
now that Duran is done with school, so
Yeah.
when I graduated, I started going back. Then when Duran got really busy with his MBA, I was like, Sundays were his day. He was like under a book, under a computer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't really ask him for 2.5 or 3 hours
Yeah.
on the
For a chapter
single
meeting.
day that he's doing work to focus for real to go to chapter meeting. So
Yeah.
yes, now that is over, when the things resume in the fall after the summer, I definitely can figure that out.
All right. We're going to pinky promise this thing. We go
Pinky
at
promise,
least
we're gonna do it. We have to
at
do
least
it.
try. Which
Yes.
makes me think about another organization that me and my husband have a lot of debate about, which is Jack and Jill. Because that is like where a lot of Black women go when they are looking for connection and network and want their kids to be a part of a thing. Controversial.
What's the controversy? Because I haven't heard the controversy. Because in Charlotte, if you're not in Jack and Jill, then you are not. You're not. You're just.
So
you might as well not exist. It is literally that serious. And I'm like,
yeah.
I have friends who are in the Charlotte chapter, like the main chapter, and we get invited to the events and all the things. And there's an informational soon that I've
So
been.
am I hearing you guys may be interested in
invited
exploring?
to. I
Wait, is it one of those things you're not supposed to talk about like that?
don't know.
Okay,
I hope
let's
it's not like sorority.
I
where
know,
you
but
gotta
even if it
act like you not doing anything, and
if it is, like, we're not gonna even have you even say anything. She didn't say anything that y'all just heard. Just forget it. But what I do want to say about it is, my husband feels like we chose to be in sororities. Our children do not make decisions to be in Jack and Jill, and the undertone of it feels elitist because it's not like inner city kids getting an opportunity to be a part of this program. It's like all of these well-to-do Black families who are being interviewed, and you have to schmooze up, and then they invite you in. And so he feels like it's this air of elitism as opposed to it being a true community engaging type of organization. And I think that, like with any organization, it depends on where you are, who you're with, and what they decide to do with the overall mission. But I'm looking at it from the gaze of mothers being able to connect with other like-minded women and have their children around other kids who are being raised in that same type of fundamental space. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree. I think Jack and Jill, especially in, for us, we live in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood. And we want to make sure that outside of our family environment, outside of our church environment, that our boys have an understanding of what our culture looks like engage with other little boys and girls their age that truly, to your point, come from similar background. And I think that's important. Like, I don't know many other organizations that bring and bridge the gap between mother and child. And normally it's just the mom or the child individually. And I think they do something unique. And I think that it's important for me and Duran that as much as we can expose our children to other children that look like them, we want to be able to do that in ways that are constructive. So, I mean, I get Jimmy's point. Like, it's not just any program. It's not.
Right.
But I think that's for a reason.
I think that is the way of the world, unfortunately.
Yes.
You can run from it as much as you want, but it's like if your kid gets into Harvard, do you tell them not to go because it's, considered elitist? It's like, well, is that the best
No, you don't.
education they're going to receive? Mm. So it's one of those things where you know what? Let's move on because I don't want you to get in trouble if we're not supposed to be talking.
Well,
I want to know what is a non-negotiable for you, for someone who walks into your life as a 30-something and is acting like she wants to be your friend. What is a non-negotiable?
um, please don't text me multiple times expecting a response immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not that girl. I am on Zoom calls or looking at a computer for so much of the day, and I literally have like a 30-minute block of time where I literally like look at text messages.
Really
So
now?
like
Hmm.
I
Good to
block
know.
the time out because like my phone, like my attention span, like I just be like all over the place. So I'm like, I leave the phone turned face down and I look at it when I have literal time to sit there and respond to people.
Hmm.
Because if I look at it and don't respond, you may not get a response. So, yeah, I need people to understand like I'm busy. That doesn't mean that like I don't care. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that like I'm not going to respond. Just understand that I I can't respond like right away. And there are people that I have met that have been like, "Girl, I texted you hours ago." And I'm like, "Yep, I know you did." But I'm responding now because I had time to respond now. I couldn't respond hours ago.
So
And
that's your
like
number one ick, is what you're telling me? People who like clock you about your response times,
I
that's your number
hate
one
like
ick?
I it really is.
Okay. That is very good to know.
Yeah, but like when we met, you know, our relationship, like we were growing, it was started more professional. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't like you were clocking me like, girl, what you doing? Why haven't you responded? Like it wasn't that.
Which that's not my nature anyway, but
Exactly.
yeah. So that's probably part of the reason why this works. I would say for me, mine is a little more deep. But I
Okay, I
just
love this.
cannot stand a person who is willfully ignorant to the
Eek.
world around us right now. Um can't do it. I can't do the whole like I don't do politics. I don't I, what
What
do
do
you
you
mean?
mean? It's like, what does
They
that
have taken all the black
mean?
books out of your child's school. What do you mean you don't do politics? Like, I'm not saying you got to be Barbara Walters. You don't.
No.
But I think that in our community, the stakes are just too high. And I think too many people not paying attention is precisely how we find ourselves repeating history.
Agreed.
Because nothing that we see happening right now is new. It's all been going on. You've got
Hmm.
to at least know where you fit into this thing and what role you can play to protect yourselves and your kids, protect their futures. So you gotta be a little tapped in for me. And if all you want to talk about is, your outfit of the day and
You know how I feel about that.
you know, stuff you see on the shade room. I mean, I'm down for a little tea session. I'm not gonna say I'm above it. Like I watch my reality shows and I'm
Period.
into the gossip, and yes, I like to look nice too. But those things are so far down on the totem pole for me, and they just can't feel like priority for you if we're gonna build something that's like genuine and meaningful. Cause I don't want to talk about that all day.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I mean, do you feel like that is, I guess, your one of the things that keeps you from opening up to people as well? It's like if you start
Oh,
off on a very surface,
superficial.
superficial, it is about the aesthetics only. Does it make it harder for you to find ways to build trust and to open up? because it started so superficial.
I think what's so interesting about that is I get clocked for being or for presenting as a superficial girl a lot. And so I attract a lot of those
Mm-hmm.
girls. And it is
Yep.
easy for me to clock if you really are one of those girls, like in within the first 5 minutes of our conversation. And I think when I start talking, people feel like, oh, she's a little intense or she's a little more serious than I thought. And it's not because I don't trust people or don't want to let them in, but I think I need to let you know who I am right now because I just let's not waste each other's time.
I will also say, and I know this is gonna sound really bad, but like I oddly enough like don't have any friends from like that I still keep in contact with from like middle school or high school.
Really?
Like I don't. Like zero.
So I'm the opposite. Um,
You're like Duran.
my
His
core
friend
group,
group is from elementary school.
my girls it's a core group of us, and we're all from from high school, and that brings up a different dynamic, right? Like I say, you give them a lot more grace than you would give. I tell my husband, I'm like, these are my sisters, not my friends. So don't judge
Yeah.
them in the way you judge my friends because these are my
Yeah.
sisters and they're going to do crazy stuff and they're going to do things I don't agree with. And to the naked eye, I would have cut them off a long time ago, but absolutely not because they're now family. And so I
Yeah.
just give them a lot more grace, but also I experience friendship different with them because we're talking about friendships being equally yoked in a later season of life. I experienced a season of friendship where people were having babies and getting married, and I wasn't. And it was
Mm-hmm.
difficult to like figure out where I fit into the friendships
Ooh,
because I
girl.
wanted to give people their space, you know, to like, oh, she's married now. Like, I can't call her this later. She's a whole mom. Like, does she care about this? And the things that were important to me, I just automatically assumed weren't as important to them anymore. And so I was like
That's interesting.
silently feeling like the friendship was shifting and now they can share with me that they felt the same way, right? Like I didn't show up for them in the way that they needed to after they had their kids or after they got married. But I was like, shit, I ain't never had a kid or been married. So how would I have known how to show up for you? And so these are
Yep.
things that now we can work through because we just have lived a little more life and had a little more experience. But it just shows you that friendship is a commitment, just
It
like a
is.
marriage, just like a relationship. And you are going to go through these seasons where you don't always feel like you're on the same page. And it's not always feeling copacetic, but if these are people you're committed to doing life with, then you've got to be able to do some self-analysis and have the tough conversations and be vulnerable. Because had I not
Agreed.
said like, I mean, I wasn't jealous of y'all, but I was jealous of the season you were in because I wasn't there
Yeah.
yet. I longed for marriage and I longed for a kid and I didn't have it yet. And you guys did. And so I didn't know where I fit into your life. You can't say that to somebody if you're not vulnerable and you don't trust them. So I
Agreed.
I think that those, really deep friendships that develop when you're kids and then you grow and mature together, those are a little more rough, if you ask me, because
They are.
you really got to decide I'm gonna buckle in and do this thing because it's so easy for you to hit a speed bump and be like, never mind, I'm cool on this.
Yeah. I mean, I had that friend and we went through the exact same thing. I
Really?
moved to New York. Um, she felt like, unfortunately, like I wasn't available enough. And
Mm-hmm.
I was dating Duran and then I got engaged and she didn't know how to support me. She
Yeah.
didn't like she didn't know where she fit in, and even though I feel like I was asking like come and visit me, like I want you to see where I'm living. I want you to meet
Mm-hmm.
my friends. Like she didn't feel comfortable in what my new life looked like, and I don't think she truly knew how to approach our friendship.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I feel like it went for me, things were happening so much faster than they were for her that it took years for her to like air quote catch up or be in the same
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
And then it felt like we were light years away from each other.
Yeah.
Um, and I think you're right. Like, if that were now, I feel like I would have approached everything completely differently.
Absolutely.
And now our relationship is more, hey, how are you doing? How's the baby? Like, whatever. And it's not as, like, we're not as close as we were. Like, she
Mm-hmm.
literally, like, everybody knew me and they knew who my best friend was. And, like, that was
Yeah.
just, like, it. And so I do think that, like, those relationships where you're growing with the person, um, yeah, like, you give them so much more grace. And
Mm-hmm.
and when you're going through the things together, it's easier. But I mean, I think that also brings up the question, it's like, how do you celebrate your friends when you are in different places or you're struggling and they're like thriving in life? Like, what's something
Yeah.
that, like, either you wish you knew or you're doing now that um really helps to celebrate those people in your life, even if you're not in the same space?
Most of my friendship breakups were in my 20s. And so I
Hmm.
think being able to like reflect on this from my mid 30s, I mean, I feel like a whole different person, seeing it through a whole different set of eyes, right? And I wish, as my friends were having their kids and finding their partners, that I would have leaned on, what the folks in the church used to say. And it's like, when somebody around you is getting blessed, that means the blessing is in the atmosphere and yours is
Right?
around
It's
the
around the
corner, right?
corner. Yes.
Yours is right around the corner, and you don't have to beg for what God has already, you know,
Yes.
prepared for you. You have to just walk into your season. So there was nothing I could have done, nothing I could have said that was probably going to change the trajectory of me entering
Correct.
that season, right? So I wish I would have been able to look at it from that set of eyes instead of having like this longing for these things. Like, I know you got it right when you were supposed to, and because everyone around you was experiencing it, you should have been having a spirit of expectancy, because it was
Yes.
coming.
So I feel like, number one, I have had issues in the past of expecting things of other people because of who I am, not
Yes.
because of who they are.
Yes.
Um, I am a giver. I pay attention to details. So if you were to be like, hey, I'm going on a road trip, and I'd be like, hey, are you okay? Are you on the road? Like, I remember you said you were doing XYZ. I'm that type of person. And I struggled with people not tapping in and having like some level of consideration for me when things are going on in my life, the way I might have that same consideration for them. Um, and I think a lot of times, especially with Duran, and I only really have him as an example since he's my longest running relationship at this point. Um, I had a lot of expectations of him though. And I've
Okay.
also, over the years, had to realize that my expectations were what I expected him, what I would do for him, and
Yeah.
thinking he would do that for me. And I had to come to
Yeah.
the realization he is his own person, and he's not going to show you everything that you need to see from him in like prescribed exactly. He's not going to like regurgitate it back. Like, he's not a robot. And instead, I tried to focus on, to your point earlier, the vulnerability of like how I'm feeling, what
Mhm.
his actions, mean to me, or his inactions, what they mean to me. And I now try to approach it in that way instead of having expectations, honestly, of anybody.
Mhm.
Um, because I can't put too much weight into what people may or may not do, and when they don't do it, I'm the one who ends up mad or upset. They're fine.
Yep. I think I learned a lot about that when everyone was big into the five love languages. And when we started talking about the five love languages and how people communicate or display care in different ways. And I really thought it was groundbreaking, revolutionary, if you ask me, because it was such a simple concept, but
Very
it's
much so.
so true. Like for someone doing the dishes says I love you. For someone else
Definitely.
bringing in a dozen roses says I love you. And those are two very different languages. And if
Very.
you have people who want you to do the dishes and you're bringing them roses, they're pissed. And you're like, what's your
Pissed.
problem? And
Right.
so I think learning how people receive may be more important than setting an expectation of how you want them to
Yes.
respond, right? So being able to learn how that person communicates and what they respond to will help you to understand how they're probably going to treat you in different situations, because people
Exactly.
normally project what it is that they want. And so if you pay attention to your friend and you notice that these are the things that, you know, make them light up, or this is the way that they communicate, or these are the things that make them retreat, then you can start to kind of frame the way you work, you know, with that person.
I agree. I think that, like, just like we build romantic relationships, I think that friendships take the same amount of time and attention.
In conclusion, give us a lesson you've learned in friendship from either a friendship that you've lost or a friendship that you've gained that you feel could be some universal advice to our listeners.
I would say the main thing is, whenever you really want to be scared, instead just open up and be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the times that I was really scared of what their response was going to be on a topic, or I was scared that they would disagree with what I had to say or would judge me for being like me, I have found that, like, instead of accepting the fear and acting in the fear, like, being vulnerable opens up the door for them to really get to know who you are so that they can give you more of what you need as a friend.
That's good.
What
That's
about you?
good. For me, I would say friendship is beautiful because it's not like your marriage where you have to pick one person. You can
Sure.
pick multiple friends. You can have a lot of
Yes.
friends. I think that as we've talked through this episode, this has clicked for me that just because a friendship is not all encompassing, that does not mean that there is not something to be gained from it. So it is okay if a person is not everything you need. If they are something that you need and they help to bring out the best parts of you, it may be worth holding on to. So your friends are not supposed to, you know, complete you, but I think that we have to be a little more open to giving people the space to be who they are. And when you find that intersection of where who they are and who you are makes sense together, you lean into that instead of trying to mold them into this perfect person.
I love that. I think it's important.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, we would love to hear from you guys on how you guys view friendships. Is it the mom group? Is it multiple friends for the going out, the career, how do your friendships fit into your life, and how are you prioritizing them with all the things that you guys have going on? We can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And thank you for spending this time with us. It's really fun as usual, and we'll see you next time on Everything
Thanks.
Eventually.
Mom groups, please don't come for me. Bye.
Bye.